Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Ryan Jackson from Ryan Jackson LLC. Just want to take this time to talk to you about. First of all, hope you're having a good day. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. And just this topic, just want to talk about shows I grew up watching when I was a child. The Cosby Show and A Different World. Oh my gosh, man! I love those shows. I still do. TV One, Monday through Thursday, they show episodes of A Different World and The Cosby Show. Different World from 1 to 3, and then The Cosby Show from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. Um, I love these shows. Grew up watching them. Um, God bless Bill Cosby, man. The genius behind The Cosby Show. To portray black people as professionals. He was a obstetrician, Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable. His wife was Claire Hanks Huxtable. She was an attorney, and they had 5 children. The eldest child, Sandra, she graduated from Princeton, and she was going to become an attorney. She dropped out of school, but then she went back to get her law degree. The second oldest child, Denise, she was kind of different, just to say the least. She was kind of out there. She was all over the place. She didn't know what she wanted to do. She went to did 2 years at Hillman, dropped out, traveled Africa, married a Navy lieutenant, and who had a daughter from a previous relationship, and their story went on from there. And then I think she later went back to school, maybe community college or something like that. But like I said, she was different. The one and only son, Theo. Theo was my man. Theo, he when the series started out, he was lazy, did poor in school. Then he transitioned to being girl crazy, and getting into a little bit of mischief still. Typical teenagers. But he matured, and he ended up attending NYU, New York University, and I think he had a major in psychology. I think he was a psych major, but he ended up attending college. Vanessa, she was something else. She was kind of mouthy. Uh, Always, she didn't always get herself in trouble by disobeying her parents. When they told her not to do something, she was doing it. So she was kind of got in kind of quite a bit of trouble. Typical teenager, boy crazy. When she got in middle school and high school, like I said, mouthy. Got in trouble, disobeying her parents. They had to, put their foot down with her. But she went to college. She went to HBCU, Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, not too far from Philadelphia. I think it's an hour, maybe hour and a half away from Philly. So she attended college. Then she graduated early too. Then she graduated a year early. And then there's Rudy, the baby. Um, Kind of a little sneaky little thing, cute. The apple of her parents' eye, especially her father, got on Vanessa's nerves. Kind of mischievous here and there. She knew what she wanted to do. She was a good student. A little opinionated for a little girl too. Well, but she was sweet. Rudy was sweet. They all were good kids. All were good children and sweet in their own way. And the series ended with Rudy in middle school. But my point is that it showed black people in a positive light, that they owned a beautiful brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. Um, they made they were awesome people. They just showed black people at the highest level that we could be doctors, we could be lawyers, we could go to college and be successful, we could raise families with both parents in the home. And I just admire that with Bill Cosby. I still do. And I love the Cosby Show for that. It was wholesome TV, great wholesome TV. Another show, which was a spinoff of the Cosby Show, was A Different World. Now this was my show. I love A Different World because it portrayed HBCUs in a great light. That they taught you about yourself, about your people, about your culture, and that you could have a family. You could come from different backgrounds, and you may have disagreements, but at the end of the day, you're a family, and we all need to stick together. And that's what Different World was. You had my man Dwayne Wayne with the flip up glasses. Um, he was kind of a when the series began, he was kind of a I wouldn't call him a nerd because I think a nerd, I think of Steve Urkel. So Dwayne Wayne definitely wasn't Urkel, but he kind of was a little geeky, kind of a little bit. He loved him some Denise Huxtable. He used to chase after her. Dwayne was smart. Oh, very bright brother. Um, loved to study. Loved he would his priorities were in the right place. It was books first, party later. And women like Dwayne. He had his fair share of women during the show's run. He ended up with Whitley, where they came from totally two different backgrounds. Dwayne was from Brooklyn. Whitley was from Richmond, Virginia, from an aristocratic family, wealthy family. Dwayne was from a working class family, working class parents in Brooklyn, the only child. And Whitley, I think she was the only child from a spoiled rich girl from Richmond, Virginia. She was kind of like a Southern. I'm not gonna call her Southern Belle because that has derogatory connotation. I found that out not years ago. But she was a Southerner. Dwayne, I'm Whitley Gilbert. She had that Southern twang. And but back to my man Dwayne. He was great. Did great in school, great in college. Was valedictorian of his graduating class of '91 of filming. So, and like I said, he liked to party, chase the women, whatever. Loved sports. Thought he was a good basketball player. But Wayne was a good guy. He was a sweetheart, and he was good. He was a good friend. He helped his friends out if they were in the jam, and he just was a good guy. And that showed black men in a positive light. The Dwayne Wayne character. His roommate and his best friend, Ron Johnson. Ron was a party animal. He played. He was in a fraternity, Camden Lambda Lu, or Camden Lambda Nu, or something like that. Ron was a party animal, chase women. That's all Ron wanted to do: party and chase women. But Ron did graduate, even though he graduated late, a few months later than Dwayne and Whitley. He did, graduate. Um, Ron had a dream to be a musician, a drummer, start his own band. So he was very entrepreneurial in that aspect, and was a visionary. He was very determined later on and matured. And I like Ron. Ron was funny. Ron was silly. He was always saying stuff or doing stuff. He was silly. He was where Dwayne was serious. Ron was silly. Ron was opposite, was silly and a clown. But I like Ron. Ron portrayed black men in a positive way too, because like I said, he wanted to start his own band and he was a visionary. He was focused on what he wanted in life. And he ended up in a relationship with Freddie of all people. Imagine that. Kind of like Dwayne and Whitley. Then, there's Whitley, like I mentioned her a few seconds ago, the Southerner from Virginia. She was spoiled, rich. She thought money grew on trees, that a man had to have money. But she changed because she saw Dwayne loved her for who she was, and she loved him for who he was, despite the fact that he didn't, come from a wealthy background. And she could be annoying at times, get on people's nerves. But for the most part, Whitley grew on people, and they loved her, and she was part of the Hillman family. She did well in school. She graduated, and so there you go. And then there's Kim Reese, Dr. Kim Reese. She was a determined sister, beautiful. The women on a different world were beautiful black women. That's another thing I liked about the show. Beautiful black women. Freddie was pretty. Kim was pretty, was beautiful. Jaleesa, Whitley. They were beautiful women. Just beautiful black women. Letty, the dorm director, pretty lady, pretty older lady. There was just beautiful black women on the show. Um, but Dr. Kim Reese, determined, hard worker. Oh my God, she was hard worker. She didn't let nothing stand in her way. No one or no or nothing. She was just determined to be a doctor. She didn't have time for foolishness. I like him. Then you have Freddie, the free spirit, the save the planet, save the animals, the Earth Child, um, save this, save the whales, and recycle y'all. Earth Day. She was the earthy type, the little dead sea at times, but Freddie graduated. She ended up going to law school. Um, she loved her friends, despite the fact that they may disagree with her, or she may disagree with them. She loved her friends. She would give them a shirt off her back. Um, Very giving young lady. I like Freddie was funny, goofy, but she was funny. I like Freddie. She was good. Freddie, she was cool. She came from a mixed marriage, from New Mexico. Cree Summer, she portrayed her, and Cree Summer is really a social activist. She came out with an album about 20 some years ago. Has some hot tracks on there. Accomplished musician. She's a voice actor. A lot of y'all don't know she played the voice for Penny in their Inspector Gadget cartoons back in the early '80s. Yeah, that was Cree Summer. Cree Summer. Freddie was cool. Then you had Colonel Taylor, Colonel Bradford Taylor, United States Army, Vietnam vet. No nonsense. He was a strict disciplinarian when he came onto the show, but he kind of let his guard down a little bit. Kind of would act silly from time to time, but for the most part, he cared about his students. He was a strong black man, domineering. Colonel Bradford Taylor, I liked him. Played by Glenn Turman. Glenn Turman. He who was married to Aretha Franklin for I think 6 or 7 years, and Aretha Franklin sung the theme song to A Different World from seasons 2 through 5. Yeah, 2 through 5. Sure did. And I can't remember the lady who sung the theme song the first year. Phoebe, oh, I can't remember her last name, but she's since deceased, as is Aretha Franklin. But the lady that sung the theme song for the first season was a beautiful, accomplished musician, um, songstress. And then the very last season of Different World, Boyz II Men sung the theme song. Boyz II Men, one of the greatest R&B groups of the 1990s by far. So they had people. Debbie Allen was on. She was the producer. So they had great people on the show and behind the scenes of the show. It was just awesome. It was black excellence. The Cosby Show, A Different World. Oh, I'm leaving out another character. Jaleesa. Jaleesa. Jaleesa was older than the rest of her contemporaries. Um, no nonsense, determined lady, strong black woman from Camden, New Jersey. She started college late. I think she was 26, but Jaleesa was she didn't mess around, man. Jaleesa was tough. Then you had her ex boyfriend slash fiance, Walter Oates, played by Sinbad, the comedian. Walter was like a big brother to the man, to the men of Hillman, to the young, the young bucks, Dwayne and Ron. He was like a big brother to him. Oh, and later Terrence, Colonel Taylor's son. Um, Walter was, silly. but he was all about the community because he wanted to help kids, at-risk youth. And he gave good advice. And he was, like I said, he was comical, and he loved Jaleesa, and he loved his friends, and Mr. Gaines. Mr. Gaines reminded me a lot of my grandfather. Didn't have time for foolishness. Mr. Gaines, he kind of was a grumpy old man, but Mr. Gaines gave great advice to Walter, to Colonel Taylor, definitely to Kimberly Reese. He adored her. She was the apple of his eye. But Mr. Gaines was a wise older black man, strong black man, had been married for 40 years, and gave good advice. He was, great, great role model for the youth there at Hillman and the faculty members. Wise old man, wise, and he was a Korean War veteran. So you had different aspects from the characters. They were from different parts of the country, but they came together on Hillman, and they were like a family. They were unbreakable bond. We need shows like that. And Hillman, or excuse me, A Different World just portrayed black men in a positive light. It did. I mean, strong black man. Dwayne was a strong black man, intelligent. Ron, though he was, silly and comical, strong, determined brother, was a visionary. Whitley, they all had their different quirks here and there, but for the most part, they portrayed black people in a positive light. And they showed what college life was like on HBCUs. I love A Different World. I love that show. It dealt with real topics. It dealt with, date rape, um, domestic abuse, AIDS, the AIDS. Tisha Campbell was on there on an episode. She was a student named Josie who had contracted AIDS from her boyfriend. It dealt with racism. It dealt with child neglect, the adoption agencies, how kids bounce around from adoption agency to adoption agency and can't find a home. It dealt with that. It dealt with a lot of issues. I just love A Different World. I love the Cosby Show. These were great shows. And Living Single, another great show. Queen Latifah. She owned her own business. She owned her own newspaper called Flavor. Maxine Shaw, played by Erica Alexander, who also was on the Cosby Show in later seasons, playing Cousin Pam. Erica Alexander played attorney Maxine Shaw. Kyle was the stockbroker on Wall Street. Overton was the building super, the custodian, the handyman. St. Clair worked at Flavor. Regine, despite her faults, she was played the kind of Miss Prissy, but it was a show for a good show for black people. All these shows, The Cosby Show, A Different World, Living Single, and Erica Alexander said a few years ago on The Breakfast Club that they wanted the original title for Living Single was Friends, because Living Single came out a year before Friends premiered, and they wanted to call their show Friends. But they, came up with Living Single, and lo and behold, a year later on NBC, Friends premiered, and it was called Friends. So go figure. And they stayed on longer than what Living Single stayed on. But be that as it may, we know how Hollywood is, with black shows, with black shows that are positive and that portray black people in a positive light. They don't stay on TV long. Another show from the 90s that some of y'all may have forgot about was Rock with Charles S. Dutton. He played a garbage man in Baltimore, which is where he's from, Baltimore, Maryland. And family man, great, community leader. And they dealt with serious issues with AIDS, with homelessness, with gun violence in the community, police brutality. Rock was a serious show. But then there again, they don't like shows like that. And all these shows, with the exception of, The Cosby Show and A Different World being on a major network, NBC, But Rock and Living Single was on Fox. It was on Fox, and they didn't last that long. But Martin, which was a great show, but Martin didn't deal with serious issues. Martin was silly. They had different characters, but that stayed on longer than a Rock and Living Single did. Imagine that. A show with a comedian acting silly, with people on the show acting silly, stay on long, but a show dealing with serious issues, have humor in there and some comedy, but dealt with serious topics, don't stay on long, like Rock. So on for 3 years. Nothing against Martin. I love Martin. Martin Lawrence is a funny comedian. Love the show Martin. Watch it now. Still watch it. But it didn't deal with serious topics because it was a show based on comedy and silliness. So therefore, that's why it stayed on long. You make white people laugh, you stay on long. You talk about serious topics, make them laugh here and there, but talk about serious issues that the black community dealing with. Now it's too serious, too serious, too serious. You portray black people in a serious light. No, 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 this is too serious. No, we need shows like The Cosby Show, A Different World, Rock, Living Single. We need shows like this that portray black men as strong black men, being with black women, being masculine black men, being black women that love black men, with black men that love black women, that portray black love, that love their children, that stay in the house through thick and thin. We need shows like this, y'all. We need shows like this. Especially in this day and age. We need shows like The Cosby Show, A Different World, Living Single, Rock. We need shows like this. We do. But I just want to let y'all know my thoughts on this. Feel free, like, share this on social media, this video. Let's get the conversation going. Like I said, like, share. Let me know what you think. Let me know your comments. Let me know your opinions. I gave you mine. Let me know yours. Yours may differ from mine, and it's fine. We can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. But, let me know your comments. And please hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, y'all. All right, now. Y'all take care. Love you much. I'm out. Peace.